Some South Koreans woke up to loud air raid sirens. It says that its northern neighbor has fired at least 10 missiles. This comes after 3 ballistic missiles were also fired into the country's waters. Seoul says it was the first time this kind of missile reached south of the disputed border. This means that one missile landed less than 60 kilometers off South Korea's coast. A statement coming in from Seoul reads, and I'm quoting here, "The North Korean missile launch is very unusual and unacceptable as it fell close to South Korean territorial waters for the first time." This came just hours after Pyongyang demanded joint drills by the US and South Korea to stop. It did not stop with demands. Kim Jong-Un sees the drills as a threat and without consequences. He's also issued a veiled threat that both countries will have to pay the most horrible price in history. North Korea has repeatedly called his missile launches as countermeasures. Washington and Seoul began one of their largest combined military air drills this Monday. Hundreds of warplanes from both sides staged mock attacks for 24 hours a day. But this has flared up tensions in the peninsula. North Korea has test-fired a record number of missiles this year. And living up to its name, the Hermit Kingdom, Pyongyang has branded all of them as retaliation. Now, for more on this, we're being joined by our correspondent, Chris Gilbert from Tokyo. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us of the recent missile launches? Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, 3 more ballistic missile launches from North Korea this morning. And really, it is just a return to the tit-for-tat exchange of missile launches, bombing drills, military exercises between the United States and South Korea and North Korea. Well, at least that's what North Korea is concerned about. And these missile launches this time came quite close to land, one landing about 150 kilometers from a South Korean island, as you mentioned, setting off air raid sirens and people scrambling for shelter. Another landing about 60 kilometers from the town of Sokcho. And North Korea is saying that this is in response to Operation Vigilant Storm, a very intense and still ongoing military exercise between South Korea and the United States, featuring more than 200 warplanes conducting mock attacks 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Just yesterday, North Korea requested that these drills stop. They haven't, and this is the response. Now, in terms of escalating tensions, as I mentioned earlier, there is a request from North Korea for these drills to stop, and that it may lead to further provocations going forward and more military action.
Right, absolutely. Chris, South says that the North has fired more than 10 missiles off its eastern and western coast. Also, there have been fears that North may conduct nuclear tests for the first time since 2017. So how real do you think the threat of a nuclear war is, and what do you think would prove to be an effective deterrent here?
Well, there's a very big difference between a nuclear test and a nuclear war. And if one happens, a nuclear test, it will be North Korea's 7th. It has done it 6 times before, but it would be the first in 5 years. And expectations that a test may happen are coming from the United States and South Korea. The United States has been saying since May that it believes a test is imminent, and South Korea believes that right about now is the time window when it thinks one will happen, right after China's Party Congress and right before the US midterm elections next week. There is one extenuating circumstance, though, one spanner in the works, which is that South Korea is still in a period of mourning, a week-long state of mourning following the tragic Halloween accident in Seoul on Saturday night, where more than 150 people lost their lives in a crush. And so whether that changes things, whether Pyongyang may delay a nuclear test in South Korea's expectations closer to the midterms or even beyond the midterms, is yet to be seen. But for the time being, South Korea is still in a state of mourning, and it still does expect a nuclear test any day now.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast with all your inputs on this.